All right, so schools are, students are going back to school, half classes, reduction in the numbers. Is that the way to go? Is it safe for you? But are stakeholders themselves ready to go on with this directive? We'll have that conversation here. My guest for that is Thomas Musa. He's the General Secretary for the Ghana National Association of Teachers. Mr. Musa, you're welcome. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll also be having very well. We'll also be having Ayikwe Awole Adukwe, is a PR for Concerned Teachers of Ghana, joining the conversation, and then Isaac J. Hyde, NUC's president. So, Mr. Musa, let me start with you. Are you ready for this? NAT's position.
Yeah, thank you very much. This question could be answered in three folds.
Okay.
The first one is that, if you could recall, some time ago we came up when the COVID issue started, or the pandemic started. We indicated that there was a need for the schools to be closed down to enable us prepare well and come back.
Okay.
Having said that, about 2 weeks ago, the Director General of the Ghana Education Service sent us a letter indicating that we should submit our proposal in case the President announce or give the kind of direction that there is the need for the schools to reopen. We can then take it up from there. So we submitted some proposals or some concerns to the Director General for the honor submission to the President. Among them is what the President listed, including the fumigation of all the schools.
Okay.
And looking at the issue of the class size, I think with the President has mentioned, we also said that there is a need for the thermometer guns to be provided in all the schools. We were also looking at the issue of aligning or mapping all the schools to health facilities. The reason being that as the schools are going, as the students are going back, in a particular school, you could have about 400 students together with the teachers. So should something happen in the night, what are they going to do? So we're saying that they should map all the schools to a particular health center so that in case something happens, the teachers can easily rush that particular student to that health center. We were also talking about the issue of the dormitories. We need to ensure if the dormitories, if some time ago, the dormitories that can take about 60 or 50, we should ensure that we reduce those numbers to the barest minimum to enable us contain. You speaking about the issue of the Veronica bucket with running water, the sanitizer, tissues, and all those things. We've mentioned them. Now, we also indicated, given the time and given the circumstances that the teachers have found themselves, particularly the JHS3 students who, the teachers and the SHS final year teachers who will also be going to school, we are saying that some kind of incentive should be provided. In fact, the fundamental thing we indicated when we met the President was that opening the school, taking wholesale will not be in the best interest of the country. And thank God that we are now focusing on the students that are about to exit. And we think that that's the way to go. But like we have said, even though the President has spoken, we are expecting that this morning, as the minister meets the press, as he's going to engage meet the press series meeting, we are hoping that he will then bring out the policy guidelines and all the resources that are needed to get it done. We don't want to, by 22nd, when the students go to school, it will happen that the face masks are not in, the Veronica buckets are not in. We are hoping and believing that once the President has spoken, the duty bearers will take up the mandate and deliver according to what the President has directed.
22nd, between now and 22nd, do you reckon it's enough time for us to put in place all of these measures to make sure that there isn't spread, or if someone has it in schools? Is it good time for you?
Yeah, the President has spoken. I believe the President. Even if the President has said next week, certainly he has spoken and he knows what he's talking about. So once His Excellency has spoken, the onus now is on the Minister of Education to ensure that all the policy guidelines should be put in place and the resources needed to get it done are all in place to enable the Ghana Education Service run with it so that they will activate the regional directors, the district directors, and the school heads to get it done. So once the President has spoken, that on the 22nd, the SHS students, the final year students are to go back to school, I trust the president.
Well, the president can speak, but speaking is one thing. So whether or not on the ground we are ready to do the right thing, that will even make the president happy is another. So the president also announced that churches can open, but some churches are saying we're not ready, so we can't open. In fact, the Christian Council is saying that if you are a church and you know that you're genuinely not set up to make people protected, don't open. So the proposals that you sent to, like you're saying, you sent for the consideration, did it include when schools were supposed to reopen?
Yeah, let me explain this. See, once the president has spoken, these things are already in the budget. Let me give you some few figures. If you look at the 2020 budget, it is in there that 397,500 students, that the public school, JHS, they are going to write the exam this year.
Okay.
Now, when you take that one, so approximately with that public schools, approximately we can say that 400,000 JHS students will be writing the exam in 2020.
400,000.
Yes. Then for the number in the budget is 397,500. If you take that one away, we come to the SHS. In fact, the 2020 budget didn't give us any figure. The 2020 budget didn't give us any figure. So, but if you look at the 2018 budget, if you do extrapolation by the figures we have there, the figures we have in the 2018 budget is 353,053. 353,053. So going by these figures, and given the fact that the president has said that the schools will reopen on the 22nd, I believe that these figures are before the president. And so the president is quite aware by the briefing he might have received from the advisors and the people that are around him, that these are the numbers we are dealing with. So if you are talking about the issue of the face masks, it means that multiply that by 3 certainly must be provided. The Veronica buckets and all those things, the teachers, the statistics are there. I've already given it out of the students. So once the president has spoken, the Ministry of Education will now have to go to work and get these things provided. And like I said, look, if the teachers and the students and the parents get to the schools and they realize that these things are not there, believe you me, the kind of confidence that they have reposed in the president, our president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in going to the school. Can you imagine what will happen when the parents get to the schools? The Veronica buckets are not there, the water is not there, the face masks and all those things that, as mentioned by our president, these things are not there. I think it is going to affect the morale and enthusiasm and the confidence, the confidence that the teachers and the parents have in going back to school. So we believe that once the president has spoken, the duty bearers who are to ensure that these things are done, they will get it done. And this particular morning, like I've said, the minister will be meeting the press, and we are hoping that the policy guidelines will be outlined. And as I outline the policy guidelines, it will be followed, or the necessary resources that are needed to get it done will be done.
Have you been engaging the ministry on
Certainly.
this?
Before we got to this particular, we met the minister. We discussed all those things into details. Okay. In fact, he was frank with us, and together we met the president. Last week we met the director general. So we've been meeting, and this particular, last week we met and we told ourselves, let us all hold on and listen to what the president will say. So since the president has spoken, today we'll be meeting the minister.
I see.
Yeah.
When you met the minister, did you get the sense that all the things you listed have been provided for? Veronica bucket, face masks, the spacing necessary, the incentives you talk about for teachers. When you met the minister, did you get the sense that all these things have been provided for?
Yes. Regarding the issue of the incentive, it came out that it will be discussed. But regarding the others, we have those from the health, the medics were there, and all the people who are supposed to help in making the school environment safe were there. And the assurance was given. And the issue of the incentives for teachers also came up. And we said that, look, there is the need, because teachers are now frontline workers. Can you imagine a teacher going to school at this particular time, particularly going to meet the students, and it's going to be day and night, particularly at the SHS level. It is not going to be as usual. It is not going to be that, 3 people are on duty. If you are 20 teachers, you are all going to be on duty 24/7, because you need to be monitoring them when the students are sleeping. You need to keep all eyes must be on them, protect them, such that when there's anything happening to any of them, you can pick them to the nearest health facility. So we are saying that the teacher should be given some incentives, and we believe that it will be taken, be taken into consideration in the scheme of things.
Believe assured. Which one are you working with? Do you believe that it will be worked for, or
we've mentioned it, and it is in our proposal.
Do you believe that it will be worked for, it will be worked on, or you have been given the assurance that it's been worked on?
We presented it. Let me put it as it. Once it has been presented today, we will be discussing all the issues, and it includes out of the incentive. So let it put it that way.
Have you had any response on that part of the proposal?
No, we don't have any response yet. But the ADEX that are to ensure the safety protocols, that one we've had a favorable response. But regarding this one, like I've said, going into the meeting today, we believe that it will come up, and that there is the need for the teachers to be given some kind of incentive. Yeah.
Can you go through the safety protocols you are assured have been put in place again? What should students and their teachers see when they go to school now?
We need to see the Veronica bucket, the running with water, running of course with soup. We spoke on the issue of the thermometer guns which must be provided. We spoke on the issue of aligning all the schools with a particular health facility to ensure that in case any student is affected, and that person could be rushed to the health facility. We also discussed, I've mentioned the issue of the thermometer gun. We talk about the issue of the distance, the classroom size, that we need to ensure that classes of about 60, 70 and all that should be looked at so that we can maintain that minimum numbers in our schools. The reason being that the virus doesn't move until a human being moves. So we want to make sure that we reduce to the barest minimum. And aside that particular one, teaching and learning is such that maintaining that social distance between the teacher and the student will be quite impossible. Because can you imagine, let's say you are teaching the child mathematics and the child has a difficulty. Can you maintain that 2-meter distance away from the student? No. The student will certainly have to come close to you and all that. And that is why we are saying that the teacher is certainly going to be exposed to a certain amount of risk, because that social distance will be very difficult, if not impossible, to maintain. And that is why we are saying that some kind of incentive should be provided for the teachers, because they are going to be exposed to the risk of the pandemic. Yeah. Because of these risks, what proposals did you make in terms of what incentives should go to the teachers? What are you asking for? Oh, we did not mention. We mentioned normally when you are going to negotiate, the labor law says that you do it in good faith. So when you throw it into the employer, normally in social dialogue, when you raise the issue, the employer says, okay, we'll look at it and we'll discuss it. So we have mentioned it to the minister and the director general that there is a need for this thing to be looked at. So it is an issue that is before them. We have mentioned it to them. We are hoping that going to today's meeting, they will also look at it and appreciate the kind of work that the teachers will be doing between 22nd as the SHS, the final year students go to school, and then the JHS go to school. You see, let me give you an example. From 22nd, all the schools, all the final year students will be going to boarding. Once they go in there, the teachers, it is no longer going to be like only one person will be assigned to the students. No, the teachers are going to be with the students, because you don't know what will happen. When you say all students are going to boarding, are they? Yes. Is that a decision taken? Because I'm not aware of that. No, isn't it people so boarders will go to the boarding house? Yes. But day students will also go to school as day students, right? Yeah. You see, there are boarding schools that have final year students who are day. Yeah. And the recommendation there was that instead of having only boarders or those who are already in boarding going to the school, let us also bring the final year students who are day students, let them come and join their colleagues. So let's say that you have a final year students of about, let's say 500, and about 100 of them are day students. Okay, instead of them commuting day and night, we are saying that let them join their colleagues so that you will have the total number of 500 in the school, so that they will all prepare. And that will reduce the tendency of actually catching a virus, because when the student is coming to school,
going in and coming out,
burden of trotro and all those things. So we are saying that they should also come and join their colleagues. And specifically, as like we are saying, these are final year students who are day students in schools where they have a boarding facility.
Okay.
Yeah.
And has that proposal been accepted?
Yes, it's something now we work towards. But we mentioned it to the Director General.
Okay. Okay. So maybe the minister will throw a bit of light on it, but as far as you're concerned, it's not been accepted yet. Been accepted.
Yeah, no, but we mentioned it to the Director. There's something that's being considered because it's very, very important going forward. It is, you see, and this thing is to enable us contain the pandemic. Yeah.
All right. Isaac J. Hyde is NUC's president. Isaac, hi. Thank you for your time this morning.
Hi, good morning, and thanks for having me.
Okay. So you held a press conference that will be last week, and one of the things that you had on your table was that this should happen. Final year students can go to school. You must be very happy with the president's decision.
Yes, I must say we are. I mean, it gave us a good impression of the president that at least he's a listener. And it was like that we have to conduct a survey where over 2,700 students from across the country from the various streams, from basic to senior high to the tertiary. And if that is even the case, out of the feedback, we had to come out with various recommendations, of which were equally similar to what Nagrat, Junat, and Co. also presented to the presidency. So I must say that, I mean, whatever we put out there was what the president actually factored in to reopen the schools, I mean, giving focus to final year students. But I must also say that it is not completely over, because there are other recommendations as well. Beyond opening the schools for the final years, were a number of recommendations that you call safeguarding measures that we thought should be put in place to protect the students should they go to school. And we are hopeful that in today's presser by the minister, we shall get some good feedback from that.
What are these protocols?
Well, basically, we expect that at least each and every student should be given at least 3 nose masks. This is because the student would have to be changing periodically while they use this thing. We expect to have the Veronica buckets at vantage points across the various campuses and senior high schools. We also expect that enough sensitization will be going on across the campuses. The Ghana Health Service should be able to be moving around periodically to supervise the various institutions and ensure that they are adhering to the strict protocols. I mean, as a matter of fact, we even are sending a letter to the Ghana National Association of Teachers this morning so that we see if we can have a partnership together with them and the relevant stakeholders. So we have a joint supervisory body that will be paying an unannounced visit to the various schools to ensure that indeed some of these guidelines have been adhered to. Aside that, we expect to see the thermometer guns and basically the relevant materials being in place to safeguard the students.
Did you say you're looking forward to partnering with NAT?
Yes, NAT and then the ministry itself, so that we move around and ensure that the strict adherence to protocols is in place. Now, you must also understand that we needed to give parents assurance that indeed, if they are sending their wards out there, they are going to be protected. We also need to take into consideration the fact that these students are going to be there in less than a month, and it will be too much a risk to ask your ward to go out there for a month and only to come home with a disease. Therefore, the assurance has to be there that indeed, as the children are going there, first of all, it's in their best interest, and if they are coming back, they are very well protected. Beyond this, it's also the need as a state for us to ensure that we protect the young generation. Some of these guys out there are going to study, and the main purpose, the only reason why they are going there is to go and study. It will be too much a price to pay to go out there with the intent of going to study only to come home with a disease. And we have a responsibility in ensuring that they are protected. In doing this, we will equally be going around with the relevant stakeholders to be supervising the various institutions and ensuring that they are adhering to protocols. The teachers are the main stakeholders in these engagements aside the students, because they are going to assume responsibility as parents on the various campuses. We need to ensure that, yes, they've got enough training. We need to ensure that should anything happen, should they have any case of any suspected case, they will know how to handle it. We expect that perhaps with the emergency contacts as made available, strict attention will be given to campuses, because here we are going to have thousands of people going to converge on the campus. At the last count, we have over 489,000 students in our tertiary institutions. If you're focusing on final year students alone, that is equally a large number of students we need to be paying attention to. So this is very important, and we shall ensure that it is adhered to.
If you wanted to partner with NAT, I've got NAT here. Is that a partnership you're aware of? Is that something that can happen immediately?
Yes, that is wonderful. I mean, that is the way to go. And I think my brother, the NUCS president, has made my day. Because we've gotten to a stage where we all need to come together and see what we can do. Because we cannot leave this particular work into the hands of Ghana Education Service and the ministry alone. There is the need for us to go out there. I indicated earlier, can you imagine a parent going to a particular school, then getting there, you realize that the Veronica buckets, and all the safety precautions, you did not see the thermometer gun and all those things. How would you feel like? Okay, so by the time the parents get to the schools, all these things must be there. And the moment the parents see those things, it will give the parents some kind of assurance, some kind of hope that, look, with these things there, we can be assured that our children are safe. And I think the gentleman must be commended, and NUCS also must be commended for this bold initiative. And we all need to work together and make sure that we go around the secondary schools to ensure that all the safety protocols are there to protect our children, because according to the Children's Act, all these things must be in the best interest of the child.
Children. Yeah. So the joint supervisory team is something that you're looking forward to getting done.
Yeah.
But I want us to talk about the incentives that you're proposing. Mr. Hyde, the NAT is proposing that teachers...
Teacher unions
are proposing that teachers be given incentives. I want you to think about it briefly whilst I engage Mr. Musa on it. Don't you think it's better to go to the negotiating table with a proposal of what you want?
Yes. You see, like I've said earlier, if you look at the kind of the proposals we submitted, or the inputs we submitted to the ministry, that went to the president, all the items we listed includes the issue of the giving teachers some incentives. We have our own, we've designed something, but there was a need for us to first draw the attention of the employer and the government that, look, given the circumstances and the situation, the conditions under which the teachers will be working, there is a need for the final year, the teachers have to be handling the final year students, both at the SHS level and the GHS level, should be given some kind of incentive. So going to the table this afternoon, all these things will come up.
What do you want?
In fact,
what do teachers want? What do your members want?
Normally, according to the law, let me refer to the law. When you are going to the negotiation table, you must go there in good faith. And you normally communicate outcomes. You don't communicate when the thing is in the process. That will be like you are ambushing your colleague, or you are ambushing your other social partner. What you have under your sleeve, you normally present it to your partner, for your partner to look at, but you don't go out into the public domain, put it out before you go into the table. That is not how it is done in the social dialogue.
So essentially you won't tell us?
Yes, so you need to go and engage first before you can communicate the outcome. Yeah.
Do you want to give us a rough idea of what the expectations that some of your members have shared with you?
Let those things be for the table. The table will take care of it.
Okay, Jay, let me come to you. What's your take? What's NUCS's take on incentives for teachers? Because as Mr. Musa puts it, they are now frontline workers.
Well, it's not out of place. I mean, we cannot say that if teachers make demands, they've been insensitive. At least they have made the demand. It's up to the person on the other side of the table to also look within the means and say that, you know what, whatever you are demanding, we can give, or given the challenges, we'll rather propose this way and that way. I mean, it's a matter of judgment. I'm sure if we all agree to disagree, if we sit on the table, we can come up with something that will make all the parties, happy after the negotiation. Notwithstanding that, we only plead with the government that incentives can come in various forms, and at this stage, we need the teachers in order to make some of this transition very possible, because you understand that before us BEC students can go to the senior high school, they would have to write their BEC. Before the senior high schools can go to the university, they will have to write the transition exams, which in this case is the WASSCE, and then on you go to the tertiary. So the teachers are very, very important to this particular engagement, and so there was a need for us to negotiate and negotiate in good faith. And so the expectation should not be static. We're only hoping that at the end of the day, when the parties sit and they negotiate, whatever comes out will be in everybody's interest. And we, the students, are hopeful that something positive will come out of this.
Well, there's just a few minutes to that press conference, so hopefully we'll hear something from there. I'm going to open the phone lines and ask people to call in, and also I'm getting some messages I'll read and get your reactions too. But quick one, Mr. Musa, I want you to clarify this. Did you say that all teachers are going back to school because it's just the SHS 3 and JHS 3, I mean final year students who are going to the school?
Not all teachers.
Exactly.
We are talking about the final year students.
Right. I just wanted to get that clarification.
Yes, that's the final year. So we are talking about final year students for the JHS 3 and final year students for SHS 3, and they are teachers. Right. They are the people going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jay, the thing about university students is that when we don't get any figures as to how many people can be in a class, they say half size. But half size, you take a class in your average class, for example, in the University of Ghana, we're told that thousands of students are in the class. Half size may not necessarily be what's good enough for social distancing. Has Nukes thought of this, and have you engaged on it?
Well, thank you very much. You see, one thing about policy from government or at a higher level is that you give a blanket policy, you expect that the appropriate persons who are going to implement it will have some level of discretion. It is my expectation that beyond the policy of half size, it's also the higher policy of social distancing. And so at this stage, you'd expect that the institutions will also take into consideration the need to ensure that some of these things are in place to forestall any spreading. And so assuming the class is about 1,000, now we are saying that all the other streams are not coming to school. The level 100s, the level 200s, the level 300s are not in school, which makes other classes available so that we can spread the classes to those places. So yes, you may have said that half of the class, but what it means generally is that you should not converge the people. You should have limited number of people in a class. It could be that if you say half of the class, it is not the total number of people in the class, but the capacity of the class. And at this stage, we'd expect that institutions themselves will also take it upon themselves to ensure that some of these things are adhered to. Okay. That is why equally is important for us to ensure that this monitoring and surveillance is in place, so that we will be making sure that we get to know what is happening across the campuses. We equally, from our wing, would also activate some measures where students can be giving us feedback back as to what is happening in their campuses. That way we can also seek to correct the wrongs if there are any.
Okay, that sounds great to me. Student feedback, by all means, we should go for it. Let me get on the phone lines. Evans is calling from Asesewa. Evans, go ahead, please. We're listening.
I first want to thank the General Secretary of NASA, the studio, who is making all the good points over there. Then I want to draw our attention to this. We are talking of a place like where I'm calling from, Asesewa. We have one senior high school, students across the country. Now, NAT initially proposed that all the students and the teachers should be tested for the COVID-19 before allowing it. Now that one is being put aside, and they're only bringing thermometer gun. And we are all saying that some of the students or some of the carriers or people with the virus are asymptomatic. They don't show any signs. So you use the thermometer or the temperature gun, and it shows that the person is not showing any sign of whatever. And at the end of the day, the person comes in between. We might end up and it will be worse. Now the senior high school, you are bringing the gold track to join the final year students. And at the end of the day, reusable nose mask. They wash it, they hang it, somebody go and pick somebody's phone, or somebody, even you are going to class because you don't have it right now, you just pick a colleague's phone because they are not with any names. So we should be careful and look at that. And if care is not taken, we are going to have a shoddy work, because as the General Secretary is saying, the teachers are not well motivated. Because I go and I'm supposed to mark the students' books. I'm going to teach mathematics. I have to check on whether the person is really following what I'm doing, and I don't know whether the person is a career or not. So I'll do everything possible to avoid any major contact with the students I'm teaching, which is not the best. We go to the science lab, and we have to touch all the science equipment. What is the risks available?
All right.
Let's just look at it. Now, let me draw your attention to this. WASSCE is controlled by WAEC. Has WAEC come out with a timetable to control the WASSCE that we are sending the students to? If WAEC is coming out to say they want the WASSCE in January, we can hold on till around September. We'll ask them to come. But after now, we don't even have the timetable. What WAEC is telling us when they are going to write the exam. So if you are asking the students to go, we have the timetable of WAEC
okay.
now. And we are pushing the students to go and suffer.
Evans, thank you very much for calling. I have Emmanuel calling from Tamale. We'll put those questions together. We'll get the responses to it. Emmanuel, talk to us.
Good morning, Madam Gifty.
Good morning.
I'm grateful.
Please go ahead.
That's online. I think, yes, I'm online. The issue of reopening isn't bad. What must be considered seriously is regulation of the students on campus, especially final years who are coming to spend just the second year goes track. And at least 60 plus in a class or 50 plus in a class. It means that the classes will be divided into 2 or 3. The 3 classes can either be 8 or 9. Now, my work schedule has increased. My contact hours have increased. What motivation is there for this increment of working hours? Marking, teaching, our institutions have to come out with new timetables to cover these increments of classes.
Okay.
And contact hours.
Emmanuel,
what actually are they looking at in solving this problem of the teacher always having a task to perform? But at the end of the day, the teacher is not well attended to.
okay. Emmanuel, thank you for your call. I think your question is about the new way of learning, teaching and learning, which involves teachers performing tasks with their students. How will that work in these COVID times? My last caller is Philip. Philip is calling from Kumasi. Philip, go ahead. You're on air.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, my point is, the last time the government said that the final year students of both sectors, the government said that the final year students of both second and then tertiary in the second cycle is to go to school. Then my question is, here is the case that in the tertiary level, we have the international students who are no longer in Ghana at this moment. And then how would they cope with this situation? And here is the case that there is still restriction on our borders. For instance, when you go to the University of Ghana, we have about 20% of students who are international students. KUAT, we have about, let's say, 15%. And such students are not in Ghana as a talking to you. And then here's the case that government has released that all the final year students of the tertiary institutions will go back to school.
Okay.
Now, here's the case, how would these students come to Ghana?
Okay, Philip, thank you for your question. Hopefully we'll get some answers. So thank you very much, all of you who have texted, called, and some of you have also texted. Let's take on some answers to this one as we wrap up. Mr. Musa, they're talking about testing of teachers. They said they recommended that teachers be tested. And that's what, even in Germany, when they they started the Bundesliga, the league, they tested all the players. Yes. So what's the protocol here?
The medics will take care of those things. In fact, when we met them, that was assurance. So at the school level, they will engage all of them and they will have a detailed discussion on those things. But these are health different. The whole thing is being done together with the Ministry of Health. And these things will specifically be taken care of by the Ministry of Health.
But Mr. Musa, don't you think you should be clear in your mind as an association or as a union that teachers are going to be tested before they are put in the classroom?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So when it comes to these things, the Ministry of Health is working together with the Ministry of Education, and there are things that the Ministry of Health will taking care of. I even indicated that each school will be mapped to a particular facility.
Yes, that point has been made. Yes, but I just want to understand, it's not clear to me, based on your answers, that are teachers going to be tested before they go back to classroom on 22nd?
And I'm saying that the Ministry of Health will take care of those things.
I'm not sure. Is it just me? Because I'm not getting.
I'm speaking to the public.
Is it a yes or a no?
Yes, the Ministry of
They will be tested. Teachers will be tested.
No, as to whether all of them will be tested individually, I cannot confirm that one here. The reason being that these are issues that the Ministry of Health Look, when we met them, the explanation was that somebody can test positive, somebody can test negative today, but in the next 2 hours.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But good. I think what we need to establish going forward is that will teachers be tested? Is that the understanding that everybody has, and all teachers have been? It's been communicated to the teachers. They are on the same page. They understand that as we're going back to school on 22nd, we will be tested. That has not been done.
No, that has not been done. That has not been done.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. I guess that will make it.
It's part of the proposal, but that has not been done. Let me
okay, for teachers to be. So you proposed to the ministry for teachers to be tested before they go back to the classroom.
Yes. So the understanding we have is that at that level, the Ministry of Health will engage them. So we are hoping that by something like I'm saying, the ministry. You see, when we started the whole thing, before the president spoke, the president are giving us the outline. So then this particular week, we'll then engage the minister to get the blueprint in place. So some of the things that we have said, we are now going to give it flesh.
Okay.
There are many things that came up before we met the president. So once the president has spoken, we are now going to give it flesh and give a detailed outline of how the whole thing will be implemented. So in meeting the minister, all these things will come up.
It should.
Thank you very much.
I would have thought that at this point it would have already been discussed and it would have already been clear, but there's still a bit of time to work that out, so that's okay. We can look to getting some answers. Then someone called about WAEC timetable, that we could engage with WAEC. I mean, do we have the WAEC timetable for those who are going to write the exam?
Yes, that is going to be between the Ministry of Education and WAEC.
At this point, you don't know anything yet, right?
Yes, once the president has announced it, it is something that, because when they were considering it, it was done in tandem with all the stakeholders. So WAEC should be aware of this particular arrangement.
Will there be any change in the timetable as we know it?
Yes, as it stands now, almost everything has been affected. Almost everything has been affected. So once the minister comes out with the blueprint, also the way forward, all the timeline, like the president gave us the detailed program of what is expected to be done, the minister also do same.
Okay, I need to wrap up. I have just about 2 minutes or so. Jay, international students, there was a question on that. University of Ghana, what can NUG say concerning that?
Well, the international student situation is a major concern. It's not only limited to University of Ghana. Almost all the universities across the country have a sizable number of international students. I mean, Nigeria has a lot of students in the country. That's why NANS is the largest foreign students association in Ghana. As it stands now, yes, it's a concern. But if this is the policy, we also expect that at the SRC level or the Student Representative Council level, they will engage their institutions to see how best the international students can be factored in the planning process. It is also my expectation that at this stage, e-learning is not being phased out completely. So if it becomes necessary that the international students will have to rely on the e-learning platform, then of course we can go on that tangent. But we also need to have a certain holistic conversation, especially regarding the issue as to how we need to test all teachers. I mean, we have also heard the opinion that every student should have been tested, but it dawns on me each and every day that between January to today, when we started talking about COVID, or February to today, we started talking about COVID, our testing capacity, we've not tested more than 300,000 people. If we are saying that we need to test every student and every lecturer between now and September,
you don't think that's a possibility? It looks like we've lost him, but thank you for joining in. Jay there, he is Isaac J. Hyde. He's a NUG's president, and I have here in the studio Thomas Musa, General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers. As we wrap up, I'm going to Maxwell Agbagba. The way you're looking at me, it looks like you wanted to say something. I ran out of time, so make it very brief for me, please.
Very brief one. You see, I'm happy with what my brother Hyde said. Because if you look at the numbers here, I've told you earlier on that the JHS students, we are talking about 397,500. Okay. And the SHS, we are talking about 353,000. So in all, we are talking about 800,000 students. So the issue of the capacity, that's why I kept on saying that you are talking about 800,000 minus the private schools and minus the teachers. So you know, you are talking about not less than 1 million. Okay, and so the Ministry of Health, there is an assurance that they will take care of it.
Okay.
So that's the challenge we are being faced there. Yeah.
They will take care of it. How? We'll get more on that. And thank you so much, Mr. Musa, for coming. Thomas Musa is General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers. We're also joined on Zoom by Isaac J. Hyde, the NUC's president. Right now, we told you about the registration, the pilot registration ongoing. Maxwell Agbagba is joining me live from the Accra Regional Office of the Electoral Commission, where he's been monitoring the pilot of that registration exercise. Maxwell, what can you report?